What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to our match reaction after Liverpool have gone to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and beaten Spurs by 2-1. It wasn't perfect, it was far from vintage. I'm feeling quite relieved at the minute. But before we get stuck into the what ifs and what happened in the game, let's just say, look, a win is a win. It's very much welcome, but there's plenty to talk about from that game today. As I said, it wasn't perfect. We did go into a 2-goal lead. Delighted for Isak to get off the score sheet, but of course we have concerns about his potential injury. Ekitike with another goal. We'll talk about that. An assist for Wirtz, an assist for Frimpong. But there's also nervy moments we need to discuss in there. Our inability to defend set pieces, our inability to see out games comfortably with a 2-goal lead. That and lots more will come up over the next few minutes. This is your show, so do let us know your thoughts in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Our man of the match poll is running at the minute for you guys to have your say on. We're asking you, is it Alisson Becker, Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, or Isak for your man of the match? I don't know how Isak managed to squeeze his way in there after 15 minutes, but either way, it's there. We don't know the extent of his injury. When we do know anything more, of course, we'll let you know about it. We also want to also say thank you to our sponsors today. Big up. Our biggest winner in today's prediction game was Big Up Bob, who managed to get himself $101 as well. So congratulations to you, bro. And again, we'll have another Big Up predictions game for next week's game. Right, look. Let's see what you guys saying. Alisson saved us from major embarrassment there, said Paulo. I think Richarlison should have been sent off. He looked at Frimpong before the elbow with violent conduct. It was one of the most dirty games of football I've seen in a long time. I don't know if people would agree with me on that one, but it felt like quite a snidey game. Yeah, quite a snidey game. It's there could have been a few more cards in that one. The red card incident, if we're talking about the one for Romero, straightforward, he stupidly kicked out. And the one for what's the dude's name? The other guy that was sent off, Xavi Simons. Again, absolute stupidity. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'm looking at those two players and I'm furious. But for us with Liverpool, what is it, lads, about a 2-goal lead that we seem unable to see out comfortably? And I have a few things I want to get off my chest before I get into it. People are going to have their say and they're welcome to it, and they'll disagree with me on slot, and you're welcome to do that. But what I want to say is this. It's not an accident that we can't defend a 2-goal lead. It's not an accident that we can't defend a set piece. These things are not accidents. This comes down to the manager, the mindset, and the absolute feeling of fear that goes through our team when a game gets tight. I'm grateful we won the game. I am. But it shouldn't have even been a conversation against 10, let alone 9 men. And at the end of that game, when the 9 minutes went up and Romero got sent off, any team that had anything about them wouldn't have allowed Spurs a touch of that football. They would have kept it, moved to side, stretched the game and exploited the spaces. And we went life and death with 9-man Spurs for the end of that game. That isn't good enough. So Slot has a lot of convincing left to do. But the good news, and there is some, we are back up that league table. Goal difference is all that separates us right now from Chelsea. And we need to build on this. It's 4 wins and 2 draws from 6. We're unbeaten. But those things don't tell the full story. So you guys, by all accounts, have your say. I'm just going to say I'm a relieved fan that's very happy for the win. But I'm far from convinced. Disaster. Shambles, said Paulo. Where was the control? Chad said the lack of possession against 9 men was absolutely pathetic. Romero and Richarlison are absolute thugs. At the end of the day, it's 3 points. And for that, I am very grateful, Chad. I'm very grateful for the win. Like I said, Liverpool winning should be the most important thing here, and we did. But it wasn't without cost. We don't know the extent of Isak's situation. The injuries are starting to mount up now, unfortunately. Frimpong came back on and he had to go off with a split lip after Richarlison hitting him. That shouldn't be an issue. Wirtz went off looking like it was either a bad cramp or feeling his hamstring. Isak went off and we don't know the extent of that. Gakpo's injured. Endo's injured. We've got some issues. And like I've said, we're walking a tightrope defensively because we have only 2 fit centre-backs. Only 2. Now, I want to talk about all the goals, but the goal that we conceded, it was a shambles. That perfectly encapsulates the panic that goes on in our defence when we have a set piece. Virgil missed the football completely, swing and a miss in his own 6-yard box. You can count them. We had not one, not two, but 3 chances to clear that corner and didn't. And we ended up then with our helter-skelter, heart and mouth finish. Spurs were dirty rats all game, and I'm going to agree with you on that. Look, Spurs fans, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but that was thuggery. That was absolute shithouse, low-life, cowardly antics from some of those Spurs players. Rodrigo Bentancur coming in and absolutely clearing Wirtz out of it when he was nowhere near the ball was shithouse, cowardly football. Romero is nothing short of a disgrace, and Xavi Simons is brain dead. Spurs fans should be fuming, not at the referee, not at their manager, at their players, because that's why they were down to 9 and 10. Their own fault, absolutely needless antics, and they got what they deserved, which is nothing from the game. Spurs wanted revenge for the last game of the season last year. They can want what they want. They lost, and they're going to have to face up to that. But the mentality in that Spurs dressing room is not right either. And Thomas Frank needs to control his players better than that, because they walked themselves into problems today. 11 versus 11, who knows how that game went? And look, for me, it's not my problem as a Liverpool fan, so I'll sit here and say, glad it isn't our concern, but we have other concerns. This is one of these weird situations, right, where of course we're happy to win. Of course you are. You're a Liverpool fan. It's 3 points. But my God, it's hard work, lads. It's hard work. Game management non-existent, said Kabski. Richarlison is dirty. I don't know how a club has ever supported him. Glad Wirtz got an assist. Yep. Look, there were good moments in that. As you said, Isak came on, got a nice tidy goal. Really unfortunate for him to get injured then, and we keep our fingers crossed that's not as serious as you fear. Wirtz, as you said, with the assist. Frimpong comes on, gets himself a nice little assist as well. Hugo Ekitike, another great goal for him. That's 5 in 3 for Hugo. So there were good points as well today. I did think Frimpong made a big difference when he came on. You know, I'm a big fan of Bradley at right back, but Frimpong did give us that little bit something there when he came on the right-hand side. He was holding his width a little bit more, and he certainly was able to get more involved in an attacking sense than Bradley was able to. A great win, a much-needed away win from home. Spurs played very dirty, almost looked like they were out to injure Liverpool players. Yeah, and that's why I don't... When I say cowardly and shithouse challenges, I don't accidentally say them words. Some of them challenges are dirty football challenges. They just are. No attempt to play the ball. Just take the man out after the ball. It's frustration, it's cowardly, and it needs to be called out. Julio said, I know we won, but I'm fed up with all this shite. When we actually need to control a game, it was chaos. Terrible management. So let's talk about your point, because you've hit the nail on the head, and I want to just clarify exactly why you're right. So when we talk about what was the style of football, what was the way Arne wants to play, what's the one word that keeps coming up? He wants to control football. He wants to control the game. Well, we were playing against 9 men. Where was that control? Where was that composure? Where was the ability to string 2 to 3 passes together? Where was the ability to make the ball do the work and tire those Spurs' legs? It was non-existent. So we can talk about it as much as he wants, but he has no control over the games of football. It is worrying. It's worrying, folks. Very angry now. We made hard work of this. Bang average Tottenham team. Not good enough, said Owen Mulhern. Kamal, how are we? Kamal Deep Singh, always nice to see you, my friend. Said, good 3 points, but worried about injuries and performance. Certainly worried about the injuries, man. I mean, what a a horrendous moment there for Isak, because that was a great finish, a lovely striker's finish. And I was buzzing for him. And I was hoping that was it, that we were going to build from there. And then we would have, we could have had that moment where we've announced Isak, we've announced Hugo, both of them starting to find their feet. Vert's in the pockets as well. Yeah, he's just so unlucky. We've been, for all the criticisms I will have of the manager, we have had some bad luck as well. Look at what happened with Giovanni Leone. You couldn't plan for that. That Isak situation, you couldn't plan for that. So yes, there is some bad luck there as well, but we are now threadbare as a squad, and I'm actually lucky and grateful we've only got one game a week for the minute. Our set piece coach needs to be fired. Whoever, if it's Aaron Briggs, I don't care whoever it is. We're an embarrassment at set pieces. An embarrassment. Matthew Johnny said, might be simultaneously the worst and best game of football ever. Absolute garbage sporting quality, but incredible entertainment. Need to improve. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because you are happy as a Red that we've won. But it's another one of those we'll put in the category of far from convincing. And on another day, one thing could have changed and the game could have ended up 2-2. Because I never felt when that 9-minute went up that we were going to see that out comfortably. And we didn't. We did see it out, but again, it wasn't comfortable. So I don't know how anybody can say in the chat, and quite a few were in there saying to me, Craig, you're being too harsh on the manager. Let me make something very clear. I don't in any way, or will not in any way, escape criticising the players as well. Virgil swinging at thin air is unacceptable. Canade giving away stupid needed free kicks is unacceptable. But it is all the manager who isn't holding them to account, who can't drill them to defend, who wants to control a game and even when he has two men more, can't do it. How is that not on the manager? We can talk about individual mistakes, but individual mistakes come and can't be punished because there's no one to replace them. Because there's no competition. Competition breeds better performances, better levels, a fear of being dropped. Not having that is part of the reason why we're here. And that is on the manager. Sorry, lots more to go through. Slot's game management is so poor, still needs to go. Andre said, need to give Arne a lifetime ban, not a contract. And again, no Rio. 2-0 up in that game, 15 to go, begging to put on Rio. Begging for his type of energy and ability to exploit space. Didn't do it. When did he bring Chiesa on? That's right, for the garbage time minute. He is just mismanaging the squad to an epic proportion. And it cannot go on. It can't. And then this absolute clown tells the assembled media that we can't just keep spending money. We can't just throw money at a defender. As if we weren't trying to do that in the summer, but they shit the bed on it. It's just one bit of bullshit after another. And it's frustrating as hell. Chris Clark said, Old Neville after Jeremy for the busted lip. This is the Premier League. I give up, bud. That was on Millwall for 10 minutes. Poor from Arne. The lads were lost out there. Exactly. Just all I feel right now, folks, is relief. That's it. Relief that we got the points. We've got Wolves coming up and Leeds coming up. Surely we get wins in those. But again, I'm still needing to be convinced by performances. Because right now this feels like the first 5 games again where we're getting away with it rather than being convincing. The real Johnny Sins said, prevention is better than cure. It's glaringly obvious he needs sacking. So why are we waiting for the loss just to pull the trigger? Look, I don't know what to say, lads. Because I agree with these comments. But I also do agree with people who said we won the game. it's just, I don't know. It just feels like there's another capitulation in the works somewhere. Jones was also terrible today. He played like his annoyingly old self. So you know what, Roy? I agree, mate. I agree. And I've been bigging up Curtis Jones, but today he was nowhere near at it. He gave away possession, which led to a chance as well for Spurs, which could have got them an equaliser. And he wasn't at the levels he had been before. So, like I said, I call it as I see it. And I gave Jones credit when he played well. Today was not one of those days. Hugo Akatike said this: the fans of Spurs have been unbelievable today. They've pushed them and it was difficult for us. We have our fans also and they tried, been great today. And they scored, they were pushing and it was difficult. It was very physical. It was a great war and we won. Look, good words from Hugo, but it shouldn't have been difficult. It shouldn't have been. Especially against 9 men for the whole of injury time. That should have been straightforward. Chad said, I'm thinking if Isak stays in the game, they win going away. Spurs were struggling with Liverpool's second half lineup. Definitely. We did come out in the second half and start that second half much better. We absolutely did. And we played with a bit more of an intensity. We played with a bit more of an intent that we were going to attack. But here's the problem. We know 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline in football, as we hear over and over again. But it is a worrying trait for us that we don't ever get that third, or we rarely get that third. And then we concede the first goal from being 2-0 up, and all panic breaks loose, and it becomes mayhem. That is a concern that needs to be resolved, because it's as much mental as it is tactical. Feel like Jerome say, how do we lack fitness and sharpness in December? Something's wrong. These coaches aren't as smart as they think. Spurs are disgraceful. So here's the thing. We're starting to pick up injuries. Arna's going to moan about it, and I'm going to sit here, look you straight in the eye and tell you he's responsible for some of them. And I'm being honest about that. You can't ignore parts of your squad, continue to just play the same lads every week, and then not expect those players to get an injury. We are one injury at centre-back away from this whole season falling apart. All of it gone if we don't get a centre-back in quickly. And this clown is on there talking about the club not having never-ending amounts of money. He should be screaming at the board to get a centre-back in. Because he's just going to continue to injure his players as he ignores Chiesa, as he ignores Rio. I'm not being mealy-mouthed, but what do you think the score would have been if Spurs had 11 versus 11? Probably a draw. You know, if that game had have gone full through 11v11, probably a draw. But look, it's not our fault that Xavi Simons is an idiot. That's not your fault, my fault, or Arne Slot's fault. So Spurs fans, you know, if they have any anger, it should be at their own players right now, because their players were idiots in moments that they didn't need to be. Both of those red cards were completely unnecessary from every sense of it. Look at the challenge on when Simons went in on Virgil. No need for it. Nowhere near the ball. Romero had just won a free kick in a great position where he would have been a danger from it. And then kicks out a Canade after already winning the free kick and gets himself sent off. So yeah, we got a bit lucky today as well as Spurs players just being hotheads. Declan said, missed the game, mate. How do we play? What happened with the injuries? So, how do we play? There were moments, start of the second half, where I would say good, but they were already down to 10. So this is one of those games, Declan, where it's really difficult to honestly talk about too much positives. I think Wirtz was a positive. I think Ekitike scoring again, of course, is a positive. Isak getting a goal is a positive, but even that's wrapped in some fear now because he went off injured. So there were things there that were worth being upbeat about. But there were other things, like how easy we were to be countered and passed through the lines again, that are concerning. But we got to win. We got to win, mate. And, we can't just ignore that. But it feels like a fortunate one. Nessie said everything feels like a team who is surviving relegation with a new manager. Half of the season, still nothing fundamental in this team, are out. Fed up with this, 9 men, including their goalkeeper. I know, mate, and we still made hard work of it. It's win or lose, you read the same script. What script? Like, Bob, I'm all for having a back and forth with you, bro, about whatever take you have. But I don't know what you mean, win or lose, you read the same script. I was absolutely delighted with recent victories. But are you convinced, Bob, by what you're seeing? Like, win or lose, like you said. Like, is there anything that you're seeing, mate, that I'm not, that you think is pushing us in the right direction? Like, I said I'm open to the manager winning me around, but I'm not seeing it yet. I'm happy with the wins, and I've never said otherwise. But nothing about this team under Arne, to me, feels like, as a collective, we are going in the right direction. I feel like some individuals are getting a bit better, and Wirtz is definitely one of them. I think Frimpong made a difference when he came on in a positive way, like I've said. But you can't tell me that the defending of set pieces is not a concern. You can't tell me that the mentality when you're 2-0 up and concede and then panic isn't a concern. So you call it a script. I call it an honest opinion for me. But either way, I just don't understand what it is the manager's trying to do, mate. That's, against 11 men, against 9 men, against whatever it is. I just don't know what the manager's trying to do. Because if control is the game, then you would have think against 9 men, we'd have had the ability to absolutely control that game. And that really wound me up. That for those 9 minutes, we weren't able to just keep the ball. Because I promise you, a Guardiola team, and dare I say it, even an Arteta team, that wouldn't have been close for the last 9 minutes. There wouldn't have been 2 or 3 half chances. They wouldn't have seen the ball. N15 said Spurs were playing dirty, but Slot should do better. Oh yeah, look, I fully agree with you, mate, on Spurs' antics. It was snidey to the extreme. And shithouse stuff. Some cowardly challenges in there. Don't want to block Rio's pathway, but don't play him. Even in this one, that felt like a perfect game for Rio. 2-0 up away from home, it felt like a perfect opportunity to get him on there for the last 15. 2 good goals, though. Yes, that I agree with, Trey. I agree. I thought Isak took his goal lovely, mate. Nice little kind of slide rule pass in from Florian Wirtz, and then it was a lovely instinctive finish. And I loved seeing Frimpong get the cross in from his left foot as well. So we tried it right foot for Ekitike's header. Wasn't on. Went back to his left and crossed it in. That was a great ball. And it was a lovely header. Lovely header from Hugo. So yeah. Agree with you on the goals. Very, very good goals. Where else are we on? Nessie said, and also, Craig, these type of wins are exactly the same ones after we won the league where we could see the doubts in the coaching staff. It feels like the start of the season again, Nessie, where we're all very grateful and happy for the wins, but none of us were 100% convinced that everything was trending in the right direction. But look, as you said, a win is a win. And looking at Liverpool in 5th place in the league now, it feels a lot better than looking at us in 12th place in the league. So for that, yes, of course, I'm grateful. Chris Thorne said, Craig, my mum came out of hospital after 2 weeks in. The blood clots are on the way out for Christmas. Even though it was 2-1 with the 9 men, it never felt safe. Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing the good news about your mum and that she's coming out of hospital, mate. Yeah, I'm so glad you shared that with us, bro. And do send all of our love to your mum. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you so much, Chris. Craig, what's Isak's injury, if you know, slot out? I don't know, which is why I won't speculate on it. You know, I've seen people try to say this or that in the chat. I don't know, and I won't speculate on it because I don't want to. I don't want to spread falsehoods on the situation. I'm sure by the time we record the podcast later or the news video tonight, I'll have a bit more of an understanding on it. But as of right now, I really don't know. I hear what you're saying, Craig, but just think went from the worst form since the 1950s to only being 3.3 wins behind the leaders. I'm very grateful for that. I promise you, mate. I really, really am. A win is a win. You know, it is. But I'm talking about, if we want to go on and challenge for the Champions League this year, if we want to make sure we cement our place in that top three, I just need to see where we are going and trending in the right direction, because some of this feels more individual moments than a systematic breakthrough, if you get where I'm coming from. But look, I will never not be happy when we win, mate. I am very, very relieved with another win. And 4 wins in the last 6 and 2 draws and not being beaten. That's good. That's definitely good. But we have sterner tests to come, and we need to make sure we're ready for those as well. Where are we at? This one from I Feel Like Jerome. Slotsman management could deter new players. Only positive is Wirtz and Hugo, but something needs to explain to me how Slot is that bad at managing a game 11 versus 9 and we can't close out the game. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that one. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that one, but I think Wirtz is getting better game on game, and I hope there's nothing serious. You could see he was holding his hamstring. I hope it was just cramp or something when he was going off. Nick Kingdom said, the last 9 minutes were disgraceful from us. Think Slot is too concerned about XG and possession rather than seeing out a game. Take a win, though. Absolutely take the win. So your man of the match poll is open. We're heading towards 6,500 votes on it. We're asking, who's your man of the match? Alisson Becker, Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, or Alexander Isak? And also, if you'd... Oh, sorry. I'm playing myself. The big up playback was playing there. Apologies on that. If you would like to submit your player ratings, by the way, folks, don't forget, sign up the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp. The form is in there to submit your player ratings. So all you need to do is scan that QR code on the screen, and that will bring you into the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp, where we'll see our transfer news moving forward, some polls that we have, and also all the links for the player ratings videos. Scared the shit out of myself. That just started playing randomly, by the way. I must learn this for the future next time we big up. I was thinking, God, I'm talking twice here. Is there a ventriloquist somewhere? City catching Arsenal is where we should be now, said Stargirl. Under Klopp, we had games like this, but we were usually the aggressors and disruptors. If a team got too aggressive on us, we'd make them pay and demoralise them. Slot ball has no intensity. Yeah, we were being outfought on a few occasions there again today, and there wasn't enough in-game cleverness from some of our players either. Craig, why do we panic once we feel pressure? That is the $64,000 question, mate. There has to be something mental going on for us to be in a 2-0 position I don't know how many times this season, but I want to say 5, where we've been 2-0 up and never gone on to really see it out with a 3 or a 4, and always conceded and made it hard work. It's happened too often, and something needs to be sorted out here and figured out. I don't know if Arna subconsciously goes too defensive then and thinks, right, the game is won. Let's tweak a system and try to regain more control or pack the middle of the park. I don't know, but I'd like to see us go for the throat a bit more. Not gung-ho, you don't have to go fully balls out, but, you know, goal difference can be important at times, and we have a goal difference of 3. 3 at the minute. Where are we at here? No, we've done that one. This one. 10 out of 10 for the ref. Will you have him over for dinner? The ref? What did the ref do that was so great? Honestly. VAR sent him over for the red for Simons, so fair play out well on that. The second yellow, we kicked out straight in front of the referee, so we couldn't do that but book him there. And there probably could have been another challenge or two in there that I would say deserved a bit more punishment. So, yeah. Look, I am relieved, by the way, that Atwell sent him to the monitor. Fair play in that one. But look, we'll give the referee's score in the player ratings video. Who do you think was our worst player? Today, I would say McAllister or Kirkes for me would be, and Jones was garbage as well today. So Jones, McAllister, Kirkes, they'd probably be the 3 I would say I was least pleased with today. Right, so with 39% of the vote, Florian Wirtz is your Anfield Agenda man of the match. Thank you everyone to vote on that. We're going to carry on for a few more minutes, by the way, but he is your man of the match. So I want to ask this question. So, Slot, in, out, or unsure, where are you on the manager? Because I do get both trains of thought here. I'm a very grateful fan for wins, but I'm still far, far from convinced that this man's going to really turn this around properly. Because I feel like, again, some individual moments are what's creating this, and it isn't a system-based thing. I feel like, and at the defensive side of it, I feel like, again, yes, there can be some individual errors, but it comes from a poor defensive setup and a poor mindset. I forgot to say Jones and McAllister. What was that? It wasn't great. And look, I've been somebody who's given Curtis the praise he's deserved over the past month or two. But today, and look, that's okay. He had a bad day at the office. It happens. Mac has been more of a concern for me this season because he just looks fatigued or something. You know? Mac always puts in a shift and always gives effort. Always. Always does. But he just looks fatigued or something. It was a strange one. And like, what was Verge doing for their goal? He swung his foot at the ball and missed it by, I want to say, at least a foot. Yeah, just again, I don't think there's enough aggression in our defending. Wayne said, even though it was brief, second half shows that Isak and Ekitike up top works, and that with attacking fullbacks who stay wide and cross, look what we can create. Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see what would have happened if Isak hadn't picked up that injury. Because I was like you, Wayne, I was looking forward to seeing those two lads together with Wirtz in there as well. delighted for Isak that he got his goal. And look, fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed that we get some positive news on that. Like it, I'm praying it was just something that got jarred or a muscle or something that isn't going to be what we fear it might be. It was a VVD swing and a miss for the goal. Yeah, it definitely was. And he's done that a few times, by the way. I think it's more the system for the reason for Macca's drop off, said Has RDG. I don't like him in that more advanced position. I don't like him in that more advanced position behind the forwards. I'd like him deeper. I'd like a Soboslai or a Wirtz in that more advanced position that Mac has been in under Arna recently. What's this one? So, Slot on Isak's injury said this. I don't have any news about him. If a player scores and then gets injured and doesn't try to come back, that's usually not a good thing. But I can't say any more than that. Let's hope he's back with us soon. So again, we don't know anything to the extent of where we're at with that. We do hope he's back soon, like Arna said, because great for him to get that goal. Exactly the type of goal we've been looking and waiting for him to score, and we hope he's back soon. Paul Doffman, mate, thank you so much. Much love to you, sir. Merry Christmas. Thanks for all your hard work this year. A pleasure. A Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. I hope it's a wonderful one, and I hope 2026 is a great year for you as well. Nimrod Hurwitz, how are we, bro? People need to stop being satisfied with scrappy wins, especially when it comes from bad performances. People need to see the full picture beyond the results. So here's the problem for me, dude. I don't know in the chat when people are saying, Craig, you're being too harsh on the manager. I don't know if that's bait or a genuine opinion. So it's really tough for me to either debate somebody on it, go in on somebody on it, or accept their position. Because if I recognize the name and I know the person, cool. I kind of know where they're coming from. But it's been so hard for me, man, because I'm in that camp. Exactly like you've said. People need to stop being satisfied with scrappy wins, especially when it comes with a bad performance. People need to see the full picture beyond the results. That times 100 summarizes me. I have really high standards. Yes, I do. But I also demand the basics to be done right. And we feel, again, like we're getting away with it. This feels like the first 5 games of the season all over again. That meme guy said Frimpong was the spark today, but that panic football at the end was dreadful. I couldn't disagree with you at all on the Frimpong thing. He definitely gave us a spark when he came on. He did, and I said in the game, Bradley being my starting right back. Well, I have to challenge my own perception now. I need to see more of Frimpong, and we'll probably see him against Wolves now because Bradley could have an injury. But if he can continue like that, brilliant, because you're right, he gave us the spark, and I loved the check cross because he didn't just give up on it. Couldn't get the cross on the right foot, equally as comfortable on the left, and it was a good ball in for Ekitike. Right, so another comment from Arna. He said, the thing in football is you always remember the last few minutes, and they were the worst minutes of our game total. If I calm down a little bit and erase from my memory, I think there's a lot to like in our performance. I'm stood here many, many times and like the performance a lot, and we were unable to get the 3 points. Now, for a large part, I like the performance and we have the 3 points. Look, I liked the performance for the start of the second half. But we were against 10 men, and I would expect us to dominate territory and possession against 10 men. So I get Arna has to portray the positive outlook all the time in the media, but people are seeing through some of this bollocks that he's coming out with. And I don't know what a lot to like is. You know, there were bits, moments, yes. The 2 goals, as somebody pointed out, were well crafted. But I don't know what he had to like at times there, because there was no width until Frimpong came on, especially on the left-hand side. Again, Spurs were countering and finding it easy to transition into our half. Panic station set in from set pieces. I don't know. I just feel like he's, you know, I feel like the Emperor's clothes is probably a good way to compare this. Like, he thinks he's standing there in the finest of silks, and I'm seeing his little Johnson, and I'm not convinced. Personally, thought Canade played well today and played miles better than Van Dijk. So he played better, but he still had that stupid free kick. You know, the one I'm on about, that led to the Romero red. It was just so unnecessary. When you're defending like that, just win the header, win the challenge. Don't go through the back of the player and give them a free kick. But I would agree that he was better than Van Dijk today. And I liked some of Canade's passing. I think his passing at times is underrated. And he played a couple of nice balls down the right channel. Slot said, "We didn't keep the ball when we had the ball. We kicked it away. They got a few free kicks, a few throw-ins, corners. It became very chaotic and hectic. Overall, we had good control over the game. 6 games unbeaten, 4 wins and 2 draws. Definitely not perfect yet, but both our number 9 scored. Again, positives to take from the game. In the Premier League, there's never a game that's boring. If the other team goes down to 10, wingers are very important. Jeremy Frimpong is the one who created 2 with his actions." Yeah, but we're not controlling the games when teams go down to 10 as much as we would want, Arna. So you got to figure that out. Let's look at this game. Let me run you through some numbers. Against 9/10 men, Spurs had more shots on target than we did. Spurs had more shots than we did. 15 shots to our 8. 5 on target to our 4. We had 65% of the possession. Dangerous attacks, we had 75 to their 43. So 65% of the ball, 8 shots, 4 on target. They had 35% of the ball, 15 shots, 5 on target. Something about that doesn't scream control to me. 65% of the ball, but yet you've conceded 15 shots and they've had more on target than we have. Nothing about that screams control to me. Nothing. Roy said, "Slot has no standards. How is he talking with confidence? So deluded. Does he know we're playing 9 men?" But he also kind of has to talk this garbage. Where I get wound up is when people don't push back on the garbage he talks. So the interviewers just let him off the hook. Also, Arna said, "We'll have to see with Conor Bradley's substitution." So maybe hinting there with a potential setback again for Bradley. And look, this is becoming more than a concern now for Conor Bradley. It's no good to anybody, us all thinking he's a good player, if he can't play 3 games in a month even. If he can't play 3 games in a row without picking up an injury. With all the best will and love in the world, and I have so much of it for the young man, I think the world of Conor Bradley as a footballer. But he's no good to anyone if these injuries keep coming up. And look, I've said it many times, no footballer wishes an injury upon themselves, and it's certainly not a choice. But it's a team sport, and reliability and durability is a big, big part of that. And unfortunately for Conor, that is the one thing at the minute that's letting him down, even though it's not something, of course, he's doing it with any intention at all. Craig, if Isak has an ACL, who would you buy? Let's not talk about what we don't know yet. If the worst came to the worst, you don't buy somebody for an injury. or to undermine a player. But we're already short in attack with the blanking of Chiesa, the unknown situation with Salah, Rio not getting a minute, and potentially Isak out. So then you probably have to fast forward whatever your summer plan was to January. And January then needs to become more difficult. Because if Isak's out for a prolonged period, Salah has basically two options. He either puts Salah straight back into the team after the AFCON and plays him as one of the two and hopes for the best, or he goes into the market. Because he ain't going to use Chiesa willingly, and he ain't going to use Rio. Gakpo, I don't know what happens there when he comes back either. But, we'll cross the bridge with Isak when we know what we're dealing with. Availability is the most important part of a footballer. Yep, and that was one of the great attributes of Mo. If we look back at Mohamed Salah's Liverpool career, availability has been a huge factor. His robustness. Gini Wijnaldum was another one. These players are worth their weight in gold. Players that are bulletproof like that. They are so important. We need another attacking option, though. We'll be forced to enter the market. Semenyo may not be the option anymore. Could be another 9. Well, look, the Semenyo situation is an evolving one, which I'll cover more tonight. But Ben Jacobs is saying United and City are currently the two front runners for Semenyo. So it looks like we're lagging behind in that race. Barcola was another name that was thrown into the mix this week. But I'm going to do a transfer news video late tonight. So do keep an eye. If you're a late night person like me, or if you're up and about late, keep an eye out for that. It'll be dropping. I'm going to have to go record the player ratings video. I'm recording the podcast with Connor and Chris at 9 o'clock. So that should be out at about 10:15. If you haven't submitted your player ratings yet, please do. You can do so with the QR code that will be on your screen right now. Scan that. It'll bring you to the WhatsApp where you'll see the link to put in your player rating scores. I want to say thank you to you all once again for joining me. If you can, please do hit that subscribe button. Drop a like on the stream, most importantly. We've won. Come on, let's get the match reaction up to 1,000 likes. Want to say thank you to Big Up as well. Our first prediction game went very well, and congratulations to the gentleman that had a $101 win. What annoys me is they only seem to do basic passes, no quick crossing, and they don't take anybody on. Where's the dribbling? There definitely isn't enough taking their man on. I 100% with you on that, bro, and I've been saying it for a long time. So look, appreciate you all, folks. We will see you for the podcast. It'll be out later on. News video, like I said, everything else we've gone through today, we'll cover for you as well. Shout out to Big Up. Hope to see you next week for the next predictions game. Let's not blame Bradley now. Spence dove into his ankle and bent it in a nasty way, going off and get rid of his Isak injury today as well. I've never blamed anybody for an injury, ever. And I went out of my way there to say players never intentionally want an injury or ask it. But it still doesn't change the robustness of a player's body or their susceptibility to pick up soft muscle injuries. And Bradley, unfortunately, has that. But you're right, like, no player wants to be injured. I'm never trying to say that. So look, again, appreciate you. On Arna, we asked, where are you? 51% said out. Let me read the results out to you. So I said slot out 51%, unsure 25%, in just 24%. So between unsure and out, you've got 76%. So people aren't convinced yet. So see you guys soon. Much love. Appreciate it.